Goblin launch detected.
This video is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc. If you're looking for cards in the US, look no further as you can use the promo code MTGMUDSTA to get you 5% off anything on the site. Or if you're in Canada like me, you can use the same promo code at Multizone to get 10% off your orders of singles. If cards aren't what you're looking for, Original Magic Art has playmats, tokens, and sweet art that you can use that same promo code to help you get 5% off your order there. If you're looking to bling out your cards, using Alter Sleeves is a great way to do so, and you can click the affiliate link in my About section to help out the channel as you make an order. And if you just want to help out the channel, you can always consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month and join the generic Goblin Gang. This video is also brought to you by the upcoming Kickstarter for Cube-A-Majig Series 2. Cube-A-Majigs are reusable booster packs for Magic the Gathering, Cube, and trading card games. Series 2 upgrades to the previous line, including cleaner seams that prevent packs from bulging, they're pre-made, and they have 30 pieces of gorgeous custom art, made by some of our favorite Magic artists. Be sure to check out the link below for more information. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's another garage game featuring the Gamebreaker gang. I am rocking Ramos again, keeping a Gladecover Scout, Cub Warden, Hadana's Climb, Migratory Greathorn, Command Tower, Mountain, and Hollowed Fountain. Martin is playing his Commander's Matters Tana and Ishai deck, keeping Ancient Tomb, Arcane Signet, Sakashima's Will, Bastion Protector, Oracle of Moldiah, Cultivate, and Reki. Nick has decided to take Cosima/Omenkeel out again, keeping 2 islands, Distortion Strike, Hangerback Walker, Blue Sun Zenith, Gadwick, and a Conqueror's Galleon. Max is playing his God's Matter Eskia deck, keeping Sol Ring, Athreos Shroudveiled, Grove of the Burnwillows, Mana Confluence, Bountiful Promenade, Temple Garden, and Supreme Verdict. Nick wins the die roll and starts us off. Nick plays an island. I play a tapped Hollowed Fountain. Martin drops an Ancient Tomb and taps it, taking 2 to cast Arcane Signet. Max plays a Bountiful Promenade and casts a Sol Ring. Nick plays another island in his main phase, and he brings out the Omenkeel, passing to me. I play a Sunpetal Grove and cast a Gladecover Scout. Martin takes another 2 as he taps a Signet and Tomb to help cast Cultivate. He goes to find a basic for the field that comes in tapped, and 1 for his hand, which he'll play. Max plays a Dryad of Ilsean Grove, and then plays a tapped Temple Garden, followed by a Mana Confluence. Nick drops an island, and pays 2 to drop Hangerback Walker, putting 1 into both X's. He then taps the Walker to crew up the Omenkeel, and pays 1 blue for a Distortion Strike onto his commander. He swings it at Max, who takes the hit, and exiles Max's top 4 cards, hitting 1 land. I play a Drowned Catacomb, and then mutate the Migratory Greathorn onto my Gladecover Scout. I go to find a basic, and shortcut first, hitting Nick and passing to Martin. Martin keeps on taking 2 in his main phase as he taps the Ancient Tomb for an Oracle Moldiah. He then plays a Windswept Heath, and takes another Owie as he sacrifices it to go and find a land. He puts out a Tundra, and reveals his top card, passing to Max. Max plays a Grove of the Burnwillows, and then taps enough for Athreos. He passes, putting the coin counter onto Martin's Oracle at the end of turn. Unfortunately, because of how priority and stuff works, Nick can't crew up his commander before the Distortion Strike rebound hits the stack, and the only legal target on his side is the Hangerback Walker. He casts it on it, and draws for turn. He then plays a Breeding Pool he exiled from Max, taking 2 so it comes in untapped. He swings his commander at me after crewing it up, but forgets to tap the Walker, and I take 3. Nick hits 1 land from those exiled, and Nick then casts a Conqueror's Galleon, passing to me. I drop a Command Tower, and try to mutate a Cub Warden onto the Migratory Gladecover Scout. Martin counters it with Counterspell though, and I pass to Martin. Martin draws and reveals his top card. He takes another 2 as he casts Ishai, and also drops a Sylvan Library, passing to Max. Max taps 3 mana for an Altar of the Pantheon, and then uses it, gaining 1 life from casting Kefnet the Mindful. Nick untaps, and Martin adds the counters on Ishai from Max's turn. Nick then plays an Inventor's Fair as his land drop, and pays 4 mana for Gadwick where X is 1. Nick then plays out Portent, looking at Max's top 3 and getting a delayed draw trigger from my upkeep. He also taps the Dryad with Gadwick's trigger from casting a blue spell. Nick then taps enough to crew up the Conqueror's Galleon, and goes at Max. Max takes the hit for 2, and exiles his top 2, one of which was a land. Nick also gets to transform the Galleon into a Conqueror's Foothold, and passes to me. My turn has me playing an island, and then dropping Hadana's Climb. I move to combat, putting the +1/+1 counter from the climb onto the Great Horned Scout, and I pass to Martin, who has been diligently adding counters to his Ishai. Martin uses his library trigger in his draw step, but doesn't keep any extras, and ranges it in such a way that he can play a Sacred Foundry off the top, and then a Plains in his main phase. He takes another 2 from the Ancient Tomb as he casts a Replicating Ring, and then brings out a Storm Surge Kraken, passing to Max. Max draws, and taps enough for Eskia's other half, the Prismatic Bridge, in his main phase. He then moves to his end step, putting the coin counter onto Ishai, and we head to Nick's turn. Nick gains 1 from the fair in his upkeep, and plays a Cavern of Souls naming Wizard. He casts Fabricate, and taps the Dryad once more with the Gadwick trigger. Nick then goes to find his copy of Gear Per Orrery, and puts it in hand, and then casts it. He crews up the Omen Keel by tapping the Walker, and swings it at Max again. Max takes the hit for 3, and exiles 2 lands in the 3 cards. Nick then passes to me. I draw my card for turn, and play a mountain. I tap enough for Ramos in my pre-combat main phase, and move to combat, adding the +1/+1 counter from the climb trigger to Ramos. I then pass to Martin. Martin uses his library again, and takes an extra card, losing 4 life. He plays a mountain off the top, and then a breeding pool. And then the 3rd land for turn because of the orrery, a Misty Rainforest. He casts Mirari's Wake, and cracks the Misty, losing 1 to go and find Tropical Island. He then reveals a Soul Ring off the top, and casts Reki. He then casts from his command zone Tana, drawing from casting a legendary spell with Reki, and reveals Sakashima of 1,000 Faces. He casts the Soul Ring, and then uses that to help cast Bastion Protector. Moving to combat, the Kraken goes at Nick, while Ishai heads my way. Nick and I both take the hits, and Martin then just passes. Max reveals Halver to the Prismatic Bridge trigger and gets to put the god into the field. He then plays a tap Stomping Grounds, and taps 6 mana for the Locust God, passing to Nick. Nick gains 1 from his Inventor's Fair in his upkeep, and plays 2 islands from his hand as his lands for turn. He then just casts the Weatherlight, and ships it to me. I untap, and draw. I play with my mana a bit, and then play out an Idyllic Grange, which sadly doesn't put a +1/+1 counter on anything because I don't have the plains. I move to combat, and get my Hadana's Climb trigger, putting another +1/+1 counter onto Ramos, and just pass turn. Martin uses his library, taking 4 to keep an extra card, and plays a Stomping Ground off the top once he moves to his main phase. He then casts Sakashima, having it come in as a copy of Reki, and draws from it being cast because it's legendary. Martin then drops an Angelic Field Marshal from his hand, and takes 2 from tapping his Ancient Tomb to help cast his Sakashima's Will, getting to do both modes because he controls his commander. He steals Kefnet, and has all of his creatures become a copy of the Angelic Field Marshal. Martin then puts to stack Wheel of Fortune that he'd drawn earlier, which I respond to. I pay a red, white, and green for Naya Charm, picking the mode to tap down all of Martin's creatures, plus giving Ramos 3 +1/+1 counters. I then use Temur Charm to have the creatures with 3 power or less not be able to be blocked, mostly just to give Ramos more counters. We all then discard our hands and draw a fresh 7, with Max's Locust God also making 7 insect tokens. Martin then plays a Savannah as his 2nd land for turn, and casts a Thunderfoot Baloth, passing to Max. Max gets his bridge trigger, needing only reveal 1 card deep to hit God Eternal Kefnet, and Max then puts out a Collective Restraint, which makes his opponents now need to pay 5 to attack thanks to the Dryad. He plays a Badlands and then a Marsh Flats, and taps enough for a Xenagos. He moves to combat, putting the Xenagos trigger onto the Locust God and swinging it at Martin. Martin has no choice and takes the hit. At the end of turn, Nick activates the Walker to put a +1/+1 counter onto it, and then uses Conqueror's Foothold to draw a card. Nick chooses Violence in his main phase as he uses Reality Shift on Ramos, and to add further insult to injury, he does it effectively at sorcery speed. I manifest my top card, and Ishai just keeps getting bigger. He also gets to tap something, and God Eternal Kefnet turns sideways because of Gadwick. He then drops Solemn Simulacrum to go and find another basic, which comes in tapped. Nick then declares he'll move to combat, and in response I cast Is It Charm, drawing 2 and discarding 2. Nick then crews up Weatherlight and goes at me. I take 4, exiling my top 4. He hits only 1 land, but Nick also gets a trigger from the Weatherlight looking at his top 5. He reveals a historic card, which is Kozilek the Great Distortion. He's not done though, and drops Ulamog's Reclaimer, which is a neat card that synergizes well with the Omenkeel. I should also note that Ishai is now a 21/21, which is horrifying, and Nick then resolves the Reclaimer trigger, putting one of his opponent's cards he'd exiled earlier into their graveyard, and returns to hand the Reality Shift. I draw and play a Brookbound Crag and then a Temple Garden, taking 2 so it comes in untapped. I cast Soul Ring and then a Beast Whisperer. With the elf resolved, I mutate a Pouncing Shore Shark onto the Great Migratory Scout, bouncing Ishai to Martin's hand and going to find a basic. I also realize that I'm supposed to draw a card first, catching myself thankfully before I shuffle. Moving to combat, I put the +1/+1 counter from the climb onto the Greathorn, and just pass. At the end of turn, Martin cycles a Triome. Martin once more uses his library trigger, but doesn't keep any extras. He plays Kedis, drawing 2 cards from his Recce triggers, and reveals off the top. He plays a Wooded Foothills from his library, and then another land. He recasts Ishai using the Opal Palace, which has Ishai coming in with 2 +1/+1 counters, and also Martin gets to draw 2 from casting it. One of those 2 cards is Blackblade Reforged, which he casts and draws 2 more cards. We finally see a non-legendary card, with a Loyal Guardian hitting the field, and Martin then gears up Tana with the Blackblade. He cracks the Foothills, losing 1 to go and find a plateau, and we then see a Bloodsworn Steward pumping his massive board even further, and Martin goes to combat. His creatures get a +1/+1 counter from the Loyal Guardian trigger, and Tana, Ishai, and the Thunderfoot Baloth go at me, with the Angel, Kraken, Recces, and Kefnet going at Nick. I block what I can from Tana, but Nick and I still take enough to die, and Martin gets to make a bunch of Bronchi tokens from Tana's damage trigger. Max also takes damage from Kedis seeing both Tana and Ishai connecting, taking a whopping 28 points of damage. Martin then reveals his top card, having forgotten to do so earlier, and it's Obscuring Haze, much to Max's dismay. Max gets an Oversoul of Dusk from his bridge trigger, and draws playing a land. Max sadly doesn't have a counter for the Fog though, and he knows he's dead on Martin's swingback, and he just scoops it up to him. Game review time. So this was definitely a game that highlights that combat matters. There was at least 1 combat step apiece between Max, Nick, and I, where we could have attacked Martin, which would have lowered his life enough to take him out. As soon as he resolved the Mirari's Wake, Martin became public enemy number 1, and it certainly didn't help that he had that Bastion Protector out to protect his commanders from removal and board wipes. Speaking of board wipes, Max did have Supreme Verdict in hand, but unfortunately by the time that he wanted to use it, he'd wheeled it away after Martin had cast that Wheel of Fortune. Nick was also hoping for a Cyclonic Rift or something, but just unfortunately didn't get there. I still love his Cosmina/Omenkeel deck, because Mono Blue Vehicles is just amazing. I'm continuing to test my Ramos deck, and I think I need to start putting stuff in like Destiny Spinner and Rhythm of the Wild to make it harder for people to counter my creature mutate spells. Since oftentimes I have to pay more to mutate them, I never want to have them countered, so being able to protect them is probably going to be very critical for this deck. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, Cool Stuff Inc., Multizone, Original Magic Art, and Alter Sleeves. But it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.